Good morning everyone, it's Una from Oz here. I'm sitting in my studio in the early morning. The sun is streaming through the window. I know I normally talk to you about art journaling, but I also do other paper crafts such as card making and scrapbooking. And lately I've been making these really cute little envelopes and card sets. So I thought I might quickly run through with you today on how to do them. They're a little decorated handmade card with a little sewn detail. You can use glue if you don't have a sewing machine. I thought they were really cute. The envelopes are around 4 by 4 inches and the little cards to match are about 3 by 3 inches. Anyway, these are a few I've made recently, so I thought I might just quickly show you how to make them. They're quick and simple. You don't need to have a special envelope maker or they don't involve a lot of extremely precise measuring, so anybody can do them. So you basically use a piece of 6 by 6 paper. You can also use 8 by 8 or 4 by 4 depending on the size. So the reason 6 by 6 are great because they are the basic size of paper pads, which I have a big pile of. So I've chosen this one today. It's got a beautiful soft pastel flowers on it, and this is just out of a paper pad I bought many years ago. I really like it. I think it's quite beautiful. As you can see, I haven't used much of it. One of those too nice to use type papers. So you need a piece of 6 by 6 or 8 by 8. I've got a couple of offcuts. I've got an offcut piece of lace. I've got an offcut piece of paper. That's roughly 3.5 inches. I've got my card base, which is 6 inches by 3 inches, and I've got my little card front, which is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. You also just need a few basic supplies, a glue, and I've also got a little flower and a little rhinestone to put on top. Okay, let's start because this doesn't take too long. The first thing you need to do is establish the center of your card. You can do this by eye or you can do this by measuring. I usually just put it on my mat here and measure down 3 inches because it's a 6 by 6 piece of paper. You can also measure across to make sure it's right, and that's all the measuring you have to do. So then you take one of your corners and fold it into the center. And then you turn it around and take the other corner and fold it to meet so they're just touching. So there's your start of your envelope. Then I use my ruler. Now the card stock I'm using is around, I would recommend 110 to 150 GSM. Copy paper or thinner papers, you can still do it, but the envelopes are not very robust. Thicker paper gets much harder to fold, and your folds, especially when you do the top and bottom, don't turn up as neat. So then I just put my ruler, I'm doing the bottom first, I'm putting the ruler on just to help me line it up, trying to keep it a bit straight. You want it about 1 centimetre up from the base so you get a nice turner, and I'll just use my ruler to help me fold it. Once it's folded there, press down, of course, using the bone scorer to get my creases nice and sharp. So there's my basic envelope shape. I then just use a little bit of double-sided tape to put it together. You can use glue, but I prefer tape. I find glue for these kind of things can get seriously messy. It's very quick to do this way as well. And there's your envelope shape made. Now you can cut that bit there off, but I generally don't fuss about that. That doesn't really worry me at all. So now we have to, I then fold the top over so I know where my decoration is going to be. So same thing again, I use my ruler to help me as a guide, about 1 centimetre or so turnover, and I just fold it down Try and make sure it's reasonably even, and press with the bone scorer, and there we have one simple little envelope. It's just over 4 by 3 1/4, so it's a cute little envelope, not too small. Now I'm going to organise my decoration. So I usually just put my torn strip on top, my lace strip on top, and my little flower, and then I run it through the sewing machine in one simple straight line. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine or you're not a sewer, you can actually just glue them down. It will take longer to dry, but it's neither here nor there. I usually just lightly glue the strip down, only to hold it in place while I'm sewing. I don't particularly want it beautifully even Steven. I like things to be a little bit handmade. Easy peasy to glue or to use your tape to stick it down. So I'm going to sew through it in this configuration, getting my lace straight. So I'm going to do that right now. Now, if you are going to sew, unless you want high contrast, I tend to keep my sewing thread to a neutral colour, usually an ivory or a brown, because all the other ones I made recently, apart from one, I did in brown. I'll be right back after I stitch it and we'll have a look at it. Okay, so I've stitched my little embellishment down. You can just see I did a plain row of stitching right through the whole shebang. I don't fuss about sticking these down, of course, unless the flower is extremely floppy. I don't mind a little bit of a cotton sticking out, so I just trim them so they're not too out of control. I also run a thin line of glue, usually a glue stick, across the back of the stitching just to help hold it so it doesn't come adrift. So the envelope is pretty much finished, except for I need to stick my little rhinestone on. I'll just make sure that my top is nice and flat. Sometimes the top won't sit down, so I use something to hold it while the glue holds. This is just a normal craft glue. And I'll drop my rhinestone. Now you can colour your flower if you wish. You could colour the colour the edges of the paper. I've been making these really quick and simple in little sets, and the idea of it was it didn't take half an hour to make an envelope and card. It just took a few minutes, and it was all very quick and easy and a little bit of fun. So making the card is even simpler. Fold in half nice and neat. Bone scorer to give it a sharp edge. Sort of work out which way I want my flowers. A little glue. Make sure we line it up in the middle. Press it down, and there you go. A couple of minutes with a few basic supplies and you've made a pretty little card with a highly decorated envelope to match. I hope you enjoy this video. Please have a go. Really simple. Remember, you can use any square paper. You could even cut your 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper. You could use things out of magazines, anything you like. Have a go. Make a little decorated envelope and a little card to match. All the best. Bye bye.